The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has affirmed or reaffirmed its support for tax-compliant micro, small and medium enterprises by rewarding those demonstrating strong fiscal responsibility. At the 7th MSME Awards in Abuja, Raw Food and Beauty Research Limited won a car and 2 million naira cash prize for exemplary compliance. FIRS emphasized that timely registration, consistent VAT and corporate tax filings and remittance were key criteria. The initiative aims to encourage businesses formalization, promote voluntary tax compliance, and integrate informal enterprises into Nigeria's formal economy, driving inclusive growth and long-term development. Dr. Femi Egbesola, President, Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, joins me now for the conversation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Let's obviously get into this incentive. I mean, an example for many MSMEs to learn from and hopefully, grab the award next time. But give us a picture of how this is driving MSMEs and encouraging them to comply, with tax.
All right. For us, this kind of award, it's a way of saying that MSMEs are already being identified and recognized, and some of us, if not a larger portion of us, are tax responsible in the sense that we are paying tax. So to me, for a person, I see it as a way of celebrating MSMEs this time and showing that we are already formalizing our business. And really, it is good to pay tax. When you pay tax, it opens you to a lot of opportunities, business opportunities. One, it gives you access to credits because that's one of the requirements to be able to access credits and even investments. It helps you to get funding even from investors outside the country. It opens you to export opportunities. It opens you to government contracts and other support services. So it's good to pay tax, and I'm happy to see one of us coming up to be the winner at this time and getting not just cash reward, but even a vehicle.
Okay, indeed, the FIRS is sending a strong message to the informal sector. But we know, and if you can give us even a better idea of the challenges, right, being presented to MSMEs, especially the informal ones, right, and how, they can also be included in things like this. There's an attempt to formalize the informal MSMEs. How feasible is that? And what are the challenges to being formalized or joining the formalized MSME community and eventually being a part of awards opportunities like this?
Incidentally, in Nigeria today, the informal sector comprises about 87%. That's a big chunk, and that forms the nano and the micro subsector of the MSME sector. And then really, many of these are not even paying tax. Now, they're not paying tax, some of them because of fear, some of them because of illiteracy. They are not literate enough to be able to know that they need to pay tax. Some of them because of lack of awareness. They're not even aware. And then for us to be able to formalize these businesses, government must continue to do more, to work on trying to bring them to the tax net by creating awareness, by ensuring that they're always educated. They do a lot on financial literacy to be able to let them understand the need to pay tax and the benefits of paying tax. For us as an association, we're already doing that. We're going up, sensitizing people in the formal sector, and we're happy that many of them are embracing this state, coming now to the tax net. But government too must not just work at the central level. It's important that governments at the subnationals work with the federal government to do this. Many of the informal sector players are in the local government and the states. And of course, government at the state level and the local government needs to work more to be able to ensure that they bring these people to the tax net. It was also important that the people also feel the presence of government. They must be able to feel what government is doing with the tax they're paying, and that will also encourage them to be able to pay more. There's also need for the tax payment to be simplified, and I'm happy that we now have a new tax bill that is addressing a lot of these challenges that we're talking about. And when we talk about awards like this, it's also good to use it to bring the informal sector to the tax net. One way to do so is by ensuring that awareness about even the award is such that everyone, or almost everyone in the MSME ecosystem is aware of it. This time, and most times, many MSMEs are not aware of government initiative because there's no publicity to some of these things. It is only the formal sector that are aware. It is also good to make some of these awards sector specific. Like if you are awarding those who have been able to formalize their business and are paying tax, it will also be fine to categorize them whereby we see that of women-led businesses, we see that of nano, that of micro. That will really help to incite others who are not paying tax and see need to pay tax. It's also good for the state government to also replicate what the federal government is doing by organizing award programs in their different states to be able to appreciate different MSMEs when it comes to tax and other sectors, so that they will be encouraged to do more and be ready to be more responsible and eventually be able to formalize their businesses.
Indeed. So definitely more awareness, education and information in that regard, especially as you pointed out, 87% of MSMEs are informal. You did also highlight the role of the government, and with the 2025 Nigeria Tax Reform Act, what incentives does that present to MSMEs when it comes to tax compliance? How does this act specifically influence and affect MSMEs in Nigeria?
Well, to us, it's one of the best things that will ever happen to the MSME in Nigeria. To us, it's a big relief. It comes with a lot of goodies, a lot of benefits. With this new tax bill, we will now have MSMEs exempted from paying tax for those whose turnover below 50 million naira, and that to us is a big deal. Again, too, we no longer need to pay the company income tax. We don't also need to pay withholding tax. At the same time, too, VAT is exempted in a number of products and services: transport, electricity, healthcare, food, CNG, and all of that. And that's a lot. These are things that affect the common man, that is also mitigating against the growth of MSMEs. And I think it's a good one that government is looking at solving this. Again, too, we now have the tax ombudsman, where when you have dispute when it comes to tax, you know where to take it to. And the beauty of it is that within 14 days, the tax ombudsman will be able to resolve whatever challenges that we have about tax. That's a big deal, because before now, when you have tax issues, MSME are being abused because they do not have the fund and the capacity to go to the regular courts to make tax claims and get incentives or payments for tax issues. That for us is a very big one. Again, too, with this new tax bill, our workers also have some form of relief. But workers will earn 1 million and less. They will no longer need to pay as you earn, and that will help them increase the take home they have at the end of every month, and in some way improve their livelihood, which will also reflect in the work they do when they are employed by MSMEs. So it's a whole lot of bundle for MSMEs. It also helps us to see now that cash payment is no longer possible with the new tax bill, and all the roadblocks that we are seeing here and there will be a thing of the past. It's a lot of bundle of good news. But one thing is that in Nigeria, as we all know, one thing is to have very good policies on paper. Another thing is to be able to see it translate into reality. We don't just want to see it or hear about it. We want to feel it. And the only way government can do so is if they continue to create enough sensitization, awareness, publicity about this, so that the MSMEs who should be the beneficiary will be aware of these incentives, this new tax bill, will be also aware of the processes they need to undertake to be able to benefit, because there are processes for it. One example of it is that now you don't need to prepare an audited account to submit to tax office. Your statement of account will do for your tax returns. But then what is the process? People that are supposed to be beneficiaries who are the MSMEs must be aware of what the process is, and that is the only way they can take advantage. It's also important for us, for tax office and those who will be actors of this new tax bill, to work hand in hand with business membership organizations who are housing or being advocates of these MSMEs. They have a number of MSMEs under their portfolio, under the umbrella. It's important that this handshake is strong so that we assist them to pass this new tax bill information down, and at the same time be able to uphold many of these MSMEs to benefit. It's important that the bill translates to reality, such that we will not just be saying that the MSMEs will benefit, but we're able to have tangible records, tangible data that with the new tax bill, at a period of time, a number of MSMEs have been able to grow and scale because of the many opportunities that the tax bill portends.
Yes, I mean, so many opportunities that this Tax Reform Act portends, and like you said, hopefully we see it come alive. Let's come to now, I mean, back to the 7th edition of the MSME Awards that went down in Abuja. It's a carrot approach as opposed to the stick approach when it comes to tax compliance. How effective would you say this positive reinforcement like cash and car prices, how effective would you say it is compared to the enforcement when, driving tax compliance through punitive measures?
Well, it's a good way. It's an innovation, and I think it's good for us. It's good for the MSME community. It's also a very positive peer challenge where we see some of our members be awarded for doing good, for becoming formalized, for paying their taxes. It also encourages every other one to want to do. But it's also important that incentives should not just be about awards alone. It should be broad in the sense that we should have a platform whereby many MSMEs can benefit beyond a select few. And one way that this can be done, like I mentioned the other time, is first making sure that many of the tax opportunities and benefits that are available in the new tax bill is made to come to pass, is made to be real. That's the best way to award MSMEs. Again, also, it is also important that the state and the local government become active with this. Government must be proactive enough to ensure that they key in. Many of the taxes we pay today are not coming from the federal government, but from the state and the local government. Some companies pay as many as 100, 150 different taxes in different forms in their local government or states. It's important for us to begin to see how we can break this barrier and use this as an incentive or award for MSMEs. It's also important too, when we're talking about award, to ensure that we carry everybody along, particularly those in the rural areas, particularly those who are physically challenged, particularly those who are the vulnerable, with special mention of women. It's important for us to identify them and also see ways of awarding them in a specific way. It's also good to be transparent about it, transparent in the sense that it's good to work with existing structures, existing stakeholders that are in the MSME sector when it comes to awarding them with the partnership of such ones. We'll be able to say that, yes, it is real. We'll be able to authenticate and validate it. And eventually, there should also be a post-review of the awards. Those that are awarded, what happens to them in the next 6 months, the next 1 or 2 years? How has the award been able to help them to grow and scale? What did they do with the fund that they got? And what can this do to serve as good testimonies to MSMEs who are out there, who are not doing as much as they should, so that they can also come up to formalize their business, pay taxes, and become MSMEs that will be able to upscale in a very short while.
And hopefully we do see many of these MSMEs upscale. But I'm sure a lot of them are taking notes right now, are seeing the prizes awarded to the winner at this 7th edition of the MSME Awards and want to take notes. What kind of business practices would you say set apart the winner to win, this award? What did she do right? What can other MSMEs learn from her business?
From the report we had, it's about being prompt in payments. It's about not being coerced to come and pay tax, but coming up on our own to say, yes, I've registered a company. I want to be a responsible business owner in Nigeria by ensuring that I pay tax, being open about the business she's doing and her income, being able to present all the documents that is necessary for tax payments, being able to ensure that she works to formalize a business in a way that all the things that she needs to do are all there. We have regulations here and there. Someone producing food now perhaps is producing chin-chin, or to have NAFDAC registration, or to have Standard Organization of Nigeria registration and all of that. So if you are even paying tax and you don't have this regulated body endorsing you and ensuring that your business is legal, tax alone will not make you formalize. So having all of these together, coming up to, and now apply for the contest, because it's a contest, quite a number of MSME applied for it, and eventually seeing somebody coming up to be a winner, to me, it's a good testimony, but we can always do more.
And finally, right, the FIRS seems to be doing something right. What can other government agencies do to replicate and mirror this model to incentivize the relevant parties to comply?
Yes, the best way is to always work with the best team. What the FIRS have done, and even the federal government that organizing the award has done, is to set an example. They've set the tone. They've made a statement. It's now important for the state government, like I mentioned the other time, and even the local government to see how they can replicate it. It will not be out of place if every state has a national award day for MSMEs in their different states, and their awards should be categorized in the number of sectors that we have in the MSME ecosystem, so that there is always an award for a particular sector or for a particular template in the MSME ecosystem. It's also good for the local government to see how they can do so. And it's also good for corporate organizations to come up to support such initiatives. Not just corporate organizations, but even government MDAs. We see now FIRS coming up. It's a ministry. They are coming up to, it's an MDA is coming up now to say, okay, we want to also recognize those who are paying tax. Now NAFDA can also come up and say, okay, we want to recognize this and that. SON can come up. Other government MDAs can also come up. Corporate organizations can also come up. That's one best way to say, yes, we appreciate the MSMEs in our country. They are really the engine of growth. They need our support. They need our commendation, and they need to be awarded. You never can tell. The 1 million, 2 million, 5 million naira grants, some of these awardees get, can change the narrative of their business. It can turn them from micro to small or even to big businesses in a short while. This is a model that must continue. Every government must continue to look at ways to encourage MSMEs if we really want to grow our economy.
All right, and hopefully we see just that happen. Thank you so much for your perspective and time on the show today, Dr. Femi Egbesola, President, Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria.
Thank you for the opportunity.